Hello, welcome to my channel today. This is King's Tutor. The first time of joining us, thank you for clicking to this. Now I want to see a question relating to ratios. Okay, now let's solve this question relating to ratios. Now the question said the following information relates to the books of account of Adam Limited. Now you see the trading profit and loss account there, showing the opening stock, purchases, closing stock, cost of goods sold, gross profit, and also selling and distribution expenses and all other expenses. And we see the gross profit there 96,000, the net profit 8,000. And we also see the balance sheet there, the share capital, which is the ordinary share 100,000, Ghana cedis, preference share 10,000, general reserve 24,000, profit and loss account 8,000. So also see at the asset side, we see the fixed asset, the depreciation, the current assets, and also the current liabilities. Now the question now is, you are required to calculate any 6 of the following, but we're going to answer all of them. The first one is the gross profit percentage. Second one is net profit percentage. C, return on capital employed. D, current ratio. E, RC test ratio. F, rate of stock turnover. G, working capital. H, shareholders fund, and liquid assets. Okay, so we're going to answer them one after the other. And the first one is the gross profit percentage. Now to solve this is to be very conversant of the formulas. Okay, so we're going to do this now. So the first one is gross profit percentage. So we have gross profit percentage. Now the gross profit percentage is giving us the gross profit over sales times 100 over 1. So now in the question there, what is the gross profit? The gross profit there is 96,000. Okay, why the sales is 240,000. So it will now be 96,000 over 240,000 times 100 over 1. Okay, so if we do that, now this cancels this. So now this will give us from our calculator 40%. Okay, so the gross profit percentage from the question is 40%. So that's the first one. Now the second one is to look for the net profit percentage. So have the net profit percentage is giving us the net profit over sales times 100 over 1. Okay, so the net profit over sales times 100 over 1. What's the net profit there? 8,000. So which is 8,000 over our sales is 240,000 times 100 over 1. Okay, so if this cancels this, so total we're going to have 3.33% as our net profit percentage. Okay, now the next one is the return on capital employed. Return on, that's III, on capital employed. Okay, now the return on capital employed is given as the net profit over the capital employed times 100 over 1. Okay, the net profit over the capital employed times 100 over 1. Okay, now but let's note that the capital employed, okay, is given as the total assets minus current liabilities. That's the capital employed, total asset minus current liabilities. So we have to know the capital employed before we can calculate the return on capital employed. Now let's see the total asset. Now from the question there, our total asset is summation of the fixed and the current assets, which gave us 182,000 there. 182,000. Okay, while our current liabilities is just 40,000, which is trade creditors and their accruers. You can see there, which is what? 40,000. So 182,000 minus 40,000 will give us 182 minus 40 will give us 142,000. Okay, so our return on capital employed will now be our net profit from the question there. Our net profit is 8,000. So it will now be 8,000 over our capital employed is 142,000. 142,000 times 100 over 1. So if this cancels this, 8 over 142 times 100 will give us 5.63%. Okay, so that's the third one, the return on capital employed. Okay, so the next one, which is the IV, is our current ratio. Now the current ratio is giving us the current asset over the current liabilities. Current assets over current liabilities. Now let's check the question there. The current assets, you see it, stock, debtors, cash and bank. Everything sum up to 82,000 divided by our current liability. We've seen it before as 40,000. Okay, so now if you cancel this, 82 divided by this will be 2.05 is to 1, because here is 1 and 40 in this is 2.05. Okay, so this will give us 2.05 is to 1 is the current ratio. Okay, so that is the current ratio. Now the next one is the acid test ratio. That is V, the acid test ratio. Now acid test ratio is giving us the current asset minus stock or inventory divided by the current liabilities. Okay, current asset minus stock over current liability. So what's our current asset? It's still 82,000 minus what is the stock there? The inventory is 36,000. Okay, divided by our current liability is 40,000. So 82,000 minus 36,000 will give us 46,000 divided by 40,000. So if this cancels this, now this will give us 46 divided by 40 will give us 1.15 is to 1. Okay, 1.15 is to 1 is the acid test ratio. Okay, now the next one is the rate of stock turnover. That is VI is the rate of stock turnover. The rate of stock turnover is giving us cost of goods sold all over average stock. Cost of goods sold over average stock. Now the average stock is not given explicitly, so but we have to calculate it. Now how do we get average stock? So we note that average stock is equal to opening stock, I'm abbreviating it, plus closing stock, all divided by 2. That's what will give us the average stock before we cannot put it into this formula to get the rate. Okay, so now if we do that, now from the question, our average stock now, opening stock is 20,000. So say average stock is now equal to opening stock is 20,000 plus closing stock is 36,000 divided by 2. So 20 plus 36 will give us 56,000 divided by 2, and that will give us 28,000. Okay, now 28,000. Now let's now get the rate of stock turnover. Now say this cost of goods sold. Now what is the cost of goods sold? Now checking the question there. Now the cost of goods sold is 144,000. So that is 144,000 divided by average stock is 28,000. Okay, so 144,000 divided by 28,000 will give us 5.14 times. That's approximately 5 times, because the rate of stock turnover we're looking at how many times. Okay, so that is 5.14 times. That's approximately 5 times. So that is the rate of stock turnover. The next one is the working capital. Okay, the working capital. So that is the VII, the working capital. So the working capital is giving us current assets minus current liabilities. current asset minus current liability. Now from the question there, all the current assets 82,000 minus all the current liabilities 40,000. Okay, so 82,000 minus 40,000 gives us 42,000 Ghana cedis. So the working capital is 42,000. Okay, why the next one is the shareholders fund. The shareholders fund. Okay, now the shareholders fund is giving us the total asset. The total asset minus total liabilities. That's the formula. Total asset minus total what? Liabilities. Now let's see the total asset. The total asset is giving us 182,000 minus the total liabilities. Okay, it's only the current liability that's there, and it is 40,000. So that will give us 142,000 Ghana cedis. So 142,000 Ghana cedis is the shareholders fund. Okay. Now, why the last one is the liquid asset. A liquid asset. Now, liquid asset has to do with those assets that can be easily converted to cash. And if you check there, the liquid assets are the current asset. So it is the stock, and the stock, we have the stock value as 36,000. The next one is the debtors. We have it as 39,000. We have the cash and bank. The cash and bank, which is what? 7,000. 36, 39, and 7,000 will give us 82,000 Ghana cedis. Okay? 82,000 Ghana cedis. That's liquid asset. Okay? So that is how to solve questions relating to ratios. Okay? Now follow us for more tips. Ensure you like, comment, share, and subscribe to this channel. Thank you very much.